is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Derek Brandale, David Sisboomba, Sammy McKee. All right, that's about as much energy as I got today.
You sound a little raspy today.
You know what happened?
What will you tell me?
I went to the game last night, and I had to sing the anthem because the mic went out, and my voice has not been the same since.
That's right. That's right.
What a hell of a job I did.
You did. You nailed it. It sounded like the whole building singing.
Yes.
It's really
You're singing the verse
Once
from the Share Club?
What's that?
You're singing the first verse from the Share Club?
Yeah, that might have had something to do with my voice as well.
Love it.
Thanks to my buddy Sunil.
Okay.
Oh, yeah?
Oh,
Good times, huh?
Yeah, no, not a good time because,
The boys lost.
yeah, the boys lost.
We're more in mourning today.
And doesn't seem like everybody was very cheerful after a 2-0 lead
Yeah. It's blown.
blown. So we'll get into that. So much more. We've got Mike McKenna will be by in about 45 minutes. Hall of Famer Adam Oates. I loved having him on last time.
Yeah. Really interesting guy.
Really, really good conversation always had with Adam Oates. So let's go back last night. Just seems like at least the Leafs had it figured out against the Buffalo Sabres. They went in 2-0 against them this season, and they weren't going to be one of those teams that you underperformed
Yeah.
or underachieved. But that's exactly what happened last night.
Our boy Sammy called a 4-3 Sabres win last night. He just called overtime, but boy, pretty prescient stuff there.
Sammy,
Yes.
you knew it was coming.
Yeah, listen, I said word for word last night, like right before the end of our show, that it had been over a week since they played down to an opponent, and they were due, and it happened.
Can I tell you
Okay,
that
he just says it like it's just part of doing business.
It is.
part of cheering for this Leafs team?
Kipper,
This is what you sign up
you'd
for.
be lying
apparently.
to yourself if you thought it wasn't part of doing business with this team. It is.
Well, you know how the part of business works for them in April too, right?
Yeah, I do. I'm familiar.
Is there correlation here? Can you kind of connect the dots here, Sammy? Or no, we're not doing
Correlation
that.
does not equal causation, sir.
I don't know. Listen, I don't think it's the same. I think they have a multitude of issues, this core. I mean, and we have 2 hours. I don't think we want to get into the issues and flaws that have been with this team for the last 8 years.
Yeah.
But I don't think playing down to opponents and losing in the first round to, well, maybe I guess the Montreal one would be a good conversation. But outside of that, maybe Columbus, maybe. But outside of that, I don't think there's a lot of correlation between them playing bad against crappy teams and losing to the Tampa Bay Lightning last year.
One thing I would love to do would be go back to their recent games where they've lost to bad teams. I think they come out pretty good against almost all of them. And if they score an easy goal, if they get a lead, it doesn't seem to me like they just go in and get run over. They go out and they get up and they go, oh, it's going to be one of those nights. These guys suck. We're up a goal, or we're up 2 goals in this
Isn't
case.
that like
and that's when they turn it off.
Isn't that like, oh,
It's really bad.
no killer instinct?
Yeah.
We're back to that now?
Mm-hmm.
They can't just close.
It just feels to me like, and I've said this for years about this Leafs team, they want to win with the least amount of extra effort necessary. So if they can play at 70% and get the win, you're getting 70%. You're never getting 75 just in case. And I feel like when they got up last night, they just thought, hey, if we even play it half as good as we can play, we're still going to come out of this with a point or two. And yeah, they turned it off. They left it up to Matt Murray to hold them in there and save the day. And that did not happen, boy. 5 straight games where Matt Murray has surrendered 4 or more goals, 5 in a row.
First time in his career.
Yeah.
Okay, is that where we're going to start then?
I don't know if I want to start
on the over. Yeah, I don't want to start there either.
Because I don't think, listen, you can talk about Matt Murray's play, and we will, but I don't think last night is the reason they lost is Matt Murray.
No, they got outshot 70-3 in the second period.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the overall view from Sheldon Keefe. and then we'll break it down a little bit more.
Thought we had a real struggle kind of getting out of our end and through the neutral zone here tonight, and at times forced it, especially through that second period. Got away on us there, and then through most of the second period, I thought we played on we're trying to break out and trying to get out of our end, consistently tired. And that's what happens in the second period a lot of times. And normally it goes the other way, where that's where we take over games and that's where we dominate teams. We got 2 goals early in the period, obviously puts us in a good spot. And I didn't think we took care of it very well from there, and then just allowed it to snowball. I mean, that's one of the top teams in the NHL in terms of time spent in the offensive zone. So when you don't exit your out of your zone cleanly, get through the neutral zone, they get rolling, they get momentum, and now you're tired and you can't play your game. And I thought that's a lot of what happened in the second period. Yet we're still out of that 2-1. Right? We're in a real good spot. I thought we started well in the third period. I liked our start. Willie gets a breakaway there, 2-1. And obviously that's a big moment in the game. We don't score on that. And, they score, not long after. So, I thought we played better in the third. Our second period was our worst period by far, maybe of the season, to be honest.
That's a lot of talking.
He said a lot of words. I will address one of the things he said about Buffalo being one of the top offensive teams in terms of time spent in the opposing zone. I just pulled it up while he was talking. They're second best in the NHL at ozone possession time, first in rush chances, and second in forecheck chances. So offensively, they do a lot of good things, right? They're third in the NHL in goals for. Good offensive team. So basically not the time to think you have the game won when you're up 2-0 with a lot of hockey left.
I think it's pretty obvious we're a Leaf show, and it's a trend that they show. But I think the Buffalo Sabres are due some respect here for the way they turned it on after they went down 2-0. They did take advantage of a team that went to sleep a little bit, but to me, you could see that there's one team that's in a playoff race that's desperate for their playoff lives, and there's one team that's kind of cruising to the finish line, and it was obvious from the time when they went down 2-0 to the end of the game which was which, right?
Yep. If we're going through issues it's a generalization to say motivation or to say, whatever it may be for this group last night in terms of psychoanalyzing them. But some pretty dumb mistakes. How many times is Liljegren standing beside a guy who shot the puck in the net? I don't know if Gustafsson can play well enough to play his way into the lineup. I don't know if, Shen can play his way in, but I know guys can play their way out. Right? You're heading into playoffs and you need to defend well. It's possible to play your way out.
I disagree with you.
Okay.
Sheldon doesn't play guys out of the lineup. I think there's ample opportunity for him to turn around and bench people or sit them down, other than maybe how many times have we seen that all year? We just experienced it a little bit with Bunting getting shuffled down.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's time to send bigger messages to this lineup. That
we just had that chat before the show about Riley, and I was like, it's too late to do anything drastic. Is it too late?
I don't know. Maybe it's happening already. I look on a game like last night. How many minutes do you think he played?
I actually looked 18.5.
That's not number one defense status.
No. 7D status.
Yeah, everyone played around that though, right? The top guys
making $7.5 million.
Correct.
Supposed to be your number one defenseman.
Correct.
How many minutes did Owen Power play last night?
I actually don't know, but 24?
Almost 27.
He was +2 in that game last night.
He was
unbelievable.
And
Darlene had his lunch eaten by the Leafs. He was, not a great night for Darlene, but Power was great.
And I think his numbers reflected it as well, because I think he was down.
Oh, put your phone on silent there, Kippy.
Yeah, thanks, pal.
Yeah.
That's a fine in the jar.
That was my reminder.
Nice work.
I think he played 6 minutes less than Owen Power.
What a world, eh? Darlene, he was getting Norris Trophy buzz. And not that one game takes it away, but when you play 6 minutes less than someone else on your team in a game your team comes back and wins, You're not the most important guy on your decor.
Well,
Full stop.
they chose, like, I was really watching it closely because of my prediction about Dahlin and Matthews getting into it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Dahlin who was matched up with Matthews. It was Power and Yoki Haru. Is that right?
Nailed
That's
it.
how Thank you. He played 27 last night. So it was them that were matched up
Yes.
against the Leafs' top guys.
He was about 24, 25 minutes, I think.
Yogi Haru?
Yeah.
He was 27.
Oh, was he 27?
Yes.
Oh, God. I
They
didn't see
played.
that.
They were all in like
And-
a playoff game last
and
night. to win.
Dahlin played 21-18, and 3 minutes and 30 of that were on the power play.
And I gotta say,
Oh,
we almost pulling my
God,
fancy-
that looks good.
We almost buried the Sabres yesterday. They're not out of it. They're not out of it. They're 5 points back of the Islanders now, and they got 2 games in hand. I know it's hard.
That's a monster win for them.
That's monster.
Yeah, it was large.
Monster win.
To come in here and be down 2-0
It was
and
large.
fight back, 4 unanswered,
Get
shut
a
it down. like they
regulation
did.
win.
But I'm glad you brought up Power because he made that play on the first goal where he picked up the puck in his own zone. I swear it was 2 strides through the neutral zone, walks into the offensive zone, spin around, no look pass right on a 22 stick who ends up scoring.
I think he's going to be my
he's-
favorite player, my
he's
favorite
so
D-man
gonna win-
after Kel
He's going to
McCarr.
win the Norris
I think
like,
so, too.
in a few years.
I agree.
Yeah,
He is. I watched him last
he
night.
can do it all. And he's gonna fill
correct
out
me if I'm
someday.
wrong. Did he just turn 20?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, no,
No
I don't know.
way.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah, he did. Just turned 20.
Oh, my God. Okay.
6'6", 218, 20 years
So,
old. Skates like the
I
wind.
got, I got those seats about 8 rows behind the net.
Oh yeah.
And,
You were sitting pretty
Buffalo's-
last night.
All I did was watch him.
Yeah.
He never came off the ice, as we just alluded to.
Yeah.
But the way the guy goes back and looks over his shoulder about 1,000 times,
Yeah.
by the time he picks up a puck off the boards in his own zone, he knows where everybody is.
Yeah.
It's like head on a swivel, like constant with
Yeah,
this guy.
Really?
It was so much fun to watch him and watch him processing
Yeah.
and then doing the math and then picking up the
Just
best outlet
memorizing
pass.
what the scene looks like behind him as he goes back for the touch.
And you watched the Leaf defense last night. It was like they were all wearing neck braces.
That's not good.
Yeah, what? Oh, God. Yeah, like, the Sabres are going to be a monster problem very soon.
Yeah. Like I don't want to go too
No.
far on the Sabres.
But, like, in
But
the
there's
next
good
2 or
players
3
there.
years,
Yeah.
they are going to be
There's good
with
players.
the Leafs.
Legit.
And then you had Anderson, who like
Turns back
looked
the
like
clock.
an NHL goalie last night.
Turn back. Yeah. So goaltenders over the age of 40 goaltenders over the age of 40 have won 4 straight decisions versus the Maple Leafs. That's 3 for Craig Anderson and 1 for David Ayers.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. This team, man. Just torture me more. Please. I dare you.
Matt Murray. Well, no, we're not doing that yet.
Do you want to do it?
I don't know. I want to talk more about the D. I want to talk more about
Okay.
Liljegren. So you disagree that you can play your way down
I
or
just
out?
think the way you just listen to his comments now, Sheldon's, of course, on all our Kippers, Clippers, and he can't find anything negative to say about this team right now. And I think he's just worried that either they're fragile or that he tried it once already and it didn't work for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see him sitting anyone's ass down.
I don't see him doing it now as a like punishment, go figure it out or you're not going to get back in. But I see him sitting there on the whiteboard with 6 D-men to pick and Liljegren's not playing great and him going to looks like playoffs last year. We want to get Shen in to begin the series. And if Shen plays well and they're winning, I don't know.
Can I ask you guys a question about the decor?
Please.
If you were watching the Toronto Maple Leafs and you had no idea about any contract situations or any, in a vacuum,
Yes.
on merit, if you were looking to take somebody out for a couple games, who would it be?
I mean, it's probably Liljegren for me last night.
Okay.
Are you trying to
Yeah.
get me to say Morgan Riley?
No, I'm not trying to get you to say anything. I'm just wondering what your
But Morgan would be in the conversation for sure. He is just like, is there another word besides struggling?
No.
Can I give you expected goals from last night? Do you care?
Yeah.
Useful or useless?
Useful.
Of all the expected goals that were happening while Morgan Riley was on the ice last night, 90% were against the Leafs and 10% were for the Leafs when Riley was on the ice last night at 5-on-5.
That doesn't sound good.
No, you don't want those numbers.
Yeah.
So you're not solely to blame for them, right? You don't know how things unfold, but that's a big
Just
swing.
not creating.
Well, one way he is. So, I'll be honest, this has become a hot button issue. In my DMs, I get people saying, is today the day you guys say Morgan Riley should be sat? Is today the day they take Morgan Riley off the power play? Leafs Nation needs to have someone, and it's never been Morgan. It's frothing up a little bit.
Not a little bit. He's the number one. The number one. He is now
the frothiest?
He's now taken over the Jake Gardner Memorial whipping boy status.
It is the name of the trophy, by the way.
I didn't see that coming.
Neither did I. But I guess as soon as you sign that long-term deal, and which, on the open
At the
market,
end of the day, it looked still pretty good.
It did when he signed it. But is it?
I don't know. Here's my question, though, wiping the smile off my face. How much of a problem is that for them? Going into this series against Tampa Bay.
I don't think they can win.
With Riley playing poorly.
Yes.
That sounds like a pretty big problem. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be asked to play the most minutes, and he's going to be asked, likely, if he's playing with TJ Brody, they're going to be used defensively, which is maybe why they won't play him with Brody. But
again, we'll see where everybody is health-wise, but when you're up against a Hedman or last night an Owen Power, and you don't have one of those on the other side, it makes it really difficult.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. And, I think back to playoffs in the past, and Riley's been awesome for the Leafs. He's been really good in the playoffs, just to my eye. He scored a couple of big goals last year for them in the postseason, a couple of really big goals, actually. So, the hope is that he's one of those guys that raises his level and finds another gear, but you don't want to be going into the playoffs with too many guys where you go, well, hopefully they flip the switch. One of those guys, by the way, has flipped it the last couple games. I thought Matthews was awesome last night.
Agree. So just going back to the last couple years for Morgan Riley in the playoffs, and all the just looking at the games played is so heartbreaking. 7-7, 5-7-7. It's like, oh my God.
I know, and the 5 was also a 7.
Yes, I know. So, he's 6 points in 7 games last year for them. 3 points in 7 games the year before, 1 point in 5 games, 5 points, 5 points, 5 points. He has been offensive for them in terms of, but I think the Leafs have enough around him now where that's not really what they
just need him to make good plays.
From him. It's just more about the decision making, Kyper. And you've been on this. It's just, he doesn't, maybe it's a lack of confidence. He knows what's going on with him. He knows the conversation surrounding him, but it just seems that
his roots.
The roots.
Is that right?
And the time he
For
picked,
me.
Yeah.
And he picks up.
Again, I watched him last night. I think it was Quinn's goal.
Yeah.
That he batted it out of the air.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Just between him and, was it Liljegren?
Yeah.
Come on, too easy to get to the net.
Yeah.
And it's because your route is wrong defending.
For me, so I agree with Riley on the routes. It's very circuitous, not a lot of stops and starts, just kind of. And for me, Liljegren is often in the right place, but standing beside someone who shoots it in the net. He doesn't tie up a stick or get a guy. You know what I mean? He's in the right places a lot. We should listen to Keefe. Actually talked about letting the Sabres get to the front of the net. Why don't we have Keefe on talking about that?
I mean, on the 4 goals, yes. I don't know that we gave up a whole lot.
What else are we talking about?
I mean, I think the whole first 30 minutes of the hockey game, I don't know if they had a shot from the slot. I think they might have one pass out late in the first period there off of a breakout turnover. So we were playing fine defensively. To me, the greater concern was just our inability to come out of our end clean and get to the neutral zone. And at times when we did, the next play wasn't good enough or wasn't smart enough. I mean, they're up tight, they're pressing, and we're up 2. You got to manage that better. We have done that well lately as a team. The way we handled being up in the 3rd in Calgary, being up in New Jersey, being up the Oilers. We've managed these things well here of late. Didn't do it today.
So other than the 4 times they scored, they did a great job in front of the net.
I'm also looking at the heat map from last night. The Sabres have plenty of opportunities from the.
You mean the 4 goals?
Yeah. It's funny too because it's not like other than the 2 goals or other than the goal they scored. It's like other than the half a dozen times. Yeah. So I get they've done it well. And I said to you guys before the show, is like, I wish it could be, they had a bad night, didn't go their way. But it's like we're really close to a pivotal series in Maple Leaf history, if I may be dramatic.
No, you're not.
It could result in the turnover of GM, coach, star players. Like, it's been an unbelievable run of years. It all hinges on what starts in 4 or 5 weeks. So for we don't get the luxury of going, well, it's just a few goals. Oh, yeah. The stakes are high.
No,
stakes are really high.
Honestly, Bourne, I hadn't really thought of it like that until you just laid it out like that. But it's true. There is a lot on the line here. And there is way too much tinkering going on for my liking. And way too much praising of a goalie who's been objectively bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I know that they've won some games against good teams, and I know they're only lose to bad teams. There's some concern.
As if, like, they're trying to talk themselves into it.
100% there. Yeah, I hear that too. Yeah.
And you've got 16 games left. They're not many.
No.
That's probably why you're trying to talk yourself into thinking that you're better than you are.
Well, and maybe it's not even thinking so much as the only way to get the most out of players, or they believe it is to just fuel them with confidence.
Hugs,
not drugs. Whatever it takes. We do have a quote from Keith on balancing winning and preparing for the playoffs. Sammy talked about too much tinkering. Is that a natural place to go next?
Yes.
All right, let's do that.
Minus the hugs.
Well, there's some hugs
that are with an eye towards want to win every game, and that's our approach. We're trying to put our players in the best spot possible to win every game, while also having an eye towards what's coming, whether that's trying different things that you may want to look at certain times, or sometimes maybe you have to. Right around this time last year, our line of Bunting, Matthews, and Marner was tearing apart the league, and Matthews was rolling through, and then right before the playoffs started, Michael Bunting gets injured, and all of a sudden we need to find a new left winger to play there. So different things happen that I think you want to get ahead of. That's just one example of things that can change. So, we are certainly trying some things that are with an eye towards either scenarios that might happen, or like we talked about yesterday. I mean, with the 7 defensemen and getting Gustafsson involved, I just think it's important, here with O'Reilly's injury, that you have these guys in the lineup and in uniform and with your group, because you never know if or when you're going to need them.
I get what he's trying to say, but to me, he's just going way over the top on scenarios that may happen, but scenarios that may not happen too.
Yeah, exactly. You're preparing for the worst, and the worst may not happen. And it's like, what do you
on
value?
A top 5 team?
Mm-hmm.
What do you value more? Chemistry and having set lines and having guys rolling into the playoffs. To me, you should try to have your ideal lineup ready. And if something does happen, you deal with it then, as opposed to preparing for the opposite way.
I can see, the holes in that argument about preparing, making sure you're prepared for everything. But it is an interesting point about being a punch first guy versus a retaliatory type of guy. Is the team setting up to take Tampa's punches and react with all these different things? Or are they saying, here's how we're optimized, here's how we're at our best, and make Tampa respond to what we're going to bring? Right now, it does feel like a lot of preparing for a coming hurricane, if you will, rather than
the old
bringing the
initiate,
hurricane.
Don't retaliate.
Right. And right now, it feels like they're planning to be, the punch back team rather than the build for the best version of themselves.
All right, let's
I don't like
do we have keep on motivation?
Yeah, so Steve Simmons asked him about keeping your guys motivated. It's the same question. It's about, they're settled in this spot, and how you keep them going. And it was a good question if you want to hear the answer.
I do.
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, it's challenging in that sense, Steve. You don't have that, but there's enough to play for here, right? I mean, it's still tight enough that if you let your foot off the gas, not only are you now losing home ice, but you got other teams. I mean, there's Buffalo being one, teams in our division that are really battling to try to stay alive in the playoff race. And you don't take care of your games, all of a sudden, those guys are within reach. So there's enough there, not to mention the fact that we're trying to get our game together. But yeah, I mean, I think it's these are the kind of games sometimes maybe if we go through Saturday night, it's Oilers, it's everything that comes with that. You're here, it's a Monday night, this is a divisional team. Maybe it's not the same level of urgency in that sense. And maybe you don't have your best, so you've got to play with intelligence. You've got to play very smart, manage the game. We're up 2-0 with 10 minutes left in the second period on home ice. Like, got to win that game every time.
That's great.
Is his best clip right there.
Yeah.
And end of story. No explanations, no nothing. You got to win the game. You got to shut the door. That's what good teams do. You're not young anymore. This isn't learning lessons anymore. You either should be able to do it or you can't.
Mm-hmm. It's not Saturday night versus the Oilers, so maybe you don't have that same sort of just drive from external circumstances. You need to find an inside to just play smart.
But that's the argument for the playoffs, that they will be, that they will be fine going into the playoffs again. That you're like, well, it matters, and you hope that you turn it on and it matters, and you look like you're motivated, like they have against good teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, they look good against the Oilers, looking good against New Jersey. They've played well, and they got a good one coming in on Wednesday. They're going to have to look really good against Colorado. Like, that's how you convince yourself that they're going to be all right.
For sure.
But, I mean.
And it's not getting any easier.
No.
Colorado tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm.
Desperate. Carolina on Friday with no Svechnikov.
Yeah, big blow.
Who we think he's done for the season. We'll get into that a little later on. And then right back at you with Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you want desperate teams? You got them.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. You're going to get the best of a lot of teams, and I think that's good for sharpening your game for the playoffs, right? You don't want to walk over a bunch of teams tanking to the bottom. So, yeah, maybe it puts them in a good position to win. Should we do the goalie part now?
Well, you have to, because it is set up for a back-to-back.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly, Matt Murray's getting a lot more work this week.
Yes. So that's Friday and Saturday night with Carolina, Ottawa. He'll get one of those two games. I wonder if at Ottawa makes sense. They like to give guys run in their old teams.
So we believe Samsonov's going to play tomorrow night against Colorado, and then you go Samsonov again in Carolina, or the game's
in Toronto.
Here in Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How does it shape up?
Yeah, probably you want Samsonov tomorrow, and then you'd like to give more than a day in between if you can. You might as well go Murray against Carolina and Samsonov versus Ottawa, even if it isn't a cute little narrative.
We're sure that Samsonov's starting tomorrow night?
Not sure, no. But boy, don't need to feel uneasy about his health if he's not ready.
Yeah, I don't believe it. I don't know.
You don't believe what?
That he's not healthy.
No, you think he's fine?
I think he's fine. It's just like a little throwaway thing at the end of a sentence that he said because he knows that it's kind of weird that they gave Murray his start after he was horrible on Saturday night. That's my thought. But I don't know if Kyper knows anything about Samsonov, but it just, I don't know, just feels like that's a convenient thing to say at that point. I don't know. You guys want to hear some Murray stats?
Let's have him.
Yeah.
First 11 starts, 7 wins, 7-2-2, with a 246 goals against average and a 924 save percentage, which is a very nice start to his season.
Yes.
His last 11 starts, he's 5-5-0 with a 3.42 and an 8.77.
I saw a stat. I'm not sure how accurate it is.
Okay.
I'll credit Mike Haslam.
Okay.
Murray since January 1st. A save percentage of
860?
31.
Oh, my.
Of what?
831 since January 1st.
All right.
Goals against average of 3.50.
Well, the numbers may look bad, but he's looked great to my eye. Let's listen to the coach talk about Matt Murray.
I think he's been great. The numbers look terrible, but again here tonight, I thought he was really good. I mean, there's 4 tap-ins. I mean, they're what are they, 3 feet or less in front of the crease. Pass out on the winning goal from below the goal line. That's about as dangerous a chance as you can give up in the NHL. We cannot allow that to happen. That's very poor penalty killing by us. We were late around our net on a couple, but I thought he made some good saves. He was really solid in the first half of the second period. When we were reeling a little bit, he was really solid. Huge breakaway save in the third period. So again, I've said this about Samsonov too. Previously at times, sometimes the numbers don't look great because we don't give up a lot of shots. The quality chances today were just you can't give those. We can't give those type of looks up.
Is that the same team with the quality of chances that it only gave up 4 all game or something? They actually defended great.
It's a great question by you, Justin.
Thank you. Yeah.
First thing that comes to mind is, and I don't know exactly this time last year when they were mentioned, but drastically different than head coach of the Ottawa Senator, DJ.
Yeah.
When he spoke of how frustrating Matt Murray was to him
Last year.
and the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah.
And I think it's a psychological thing now with Sheldon and how he wants to handle Matt Murray here.
For sure, that's it.
That
Confidence.
we can't let him get down that rabbit hole of last season.
Yeah.
Where he was basically kicked to the curb by the Ottawa Senators.
He's waved through the league, right?
So it doesn't really matter. Matt could have let in 11, right?
Sheldon's not coming out and ripping a strip off him.
Or it's the opposite of that. He's great, we stink.
Yeah. It feels like the time.
It's kind of an insult to our intelligence, though. When you're just coming out here and just saying stuff that's just objectively wrong.
Yeah.
Like, he has not been great.
No, and my biggest quibble with that whole great thing is that
We do not agree.
he stopped a breakaway here or whatever. Like, you're supposed to make some tough saves. You're an NHL
that's
goalie.
what goalies do in the NHL. They
You make $5 million a year to be a starter, which means you're one of the 32 best players on earth in the position, and you're expected to make some tough saves, let alone the ones you're supposed to make. I mean, you get good chances in the NHL today. You have to make some tough ones. So to point to a few and say it's been fine, whatever. He's on his stomach for the one that goes up under the bar. Like, I'm not going to say he was terrible last night, but I am going to say that whatever they're doing is clearly for Matt Murray's psychological state and not reality.
Okay.
The other angle is Wall.
Oh, come on.
I'm just saying, with 16 games to go, you got to cover your ass because all of this is going to come down like an avalanche.
I already said hurricane. You're saying avalanche.
God, you guys are on fire.
If you don't cover yourself in some capacity, like Sheldon's got to look like, you want to create scenarios in your head. Then if that's what you're going to do, then you have to go all the way and find a game to get Wall in, who I think technically is a way better goalie than Matt Murray all day long.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason I was sitting here banging the drum for a goalie at the deadline.
How could you be worse? Those numbers that you wrote off, the numbers that I wrote off, like, that is not NHL caliber goaltending.
Well, I think this is one of the places you guys, we talked about, are you preparing for the worst or preparing to be at your best? Maybe they think a good Matt Murray is them at their best, and that's kind of what they want to see. They want to see him get to be the guy they've seen him to be. He's 28 years old, 29 years old. Like,
I mean, there's also the perspective, and we talked about this last night on Leafs Talk, that maybe they're giving him this stretch to just prove to him, be like, hey, man, like, we gave you your opportunity. Numbers weren't good enough, and we're going to go with the other guy.
Yeah.
then you can be a little bit more forthright on your comments then instead of
you're right.
completely putting a warm blanket around him.
Yeah. No, you're right.
That's all.
They don't know
And
us
you don't have
anything.
to.
They
You
don't
can
know
be a
us
pro
that.
about it. You don't have to bury him, but we need better from everybody, including Matt Murray. That's all it takes. That's not good enough last night. From first to last man on this roster, it wasn't good enough last night. We will be an easy out in the first round if we don't get this in order. Give them a sense of urgency.
Mm-hmm.
We all feel it.
I would like to see them flip some switch where it's like, we've been building here. We're building. Confidence, chance, opportunity, take a step. It's over. Right? It's over. You're here. You've arrived at the time you're supposed to be there, and the people who aren't there don't get to play. So if that's Matt Murray and he's not playing well enough, then fine. Doesn't play. And if that's Timothy Liljegren, fine, doesn't play. Like there to me, the time for building confidence and working towards and all that, it's done.
We've been talking about that for 40 years of learning lessons and building.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't still be saying that stuff.
And I think people do that a lot in hockey for job preservation purposes. It's like, as soon as you become GM of a team, it's announce a rebuild, guarantees you 5 years to see how things go, yada, yada. No one wants to say it's now or never, until you're 5 or 7 years in or whatever this whole thing has been, Dubas and the whole march. But the building time's over for the Leafs. There's no more progress. There's no more time for growth. It's times now.
Couldn't agree more.
Did Sheldon get asked about Wayne Simmons' availability, or is there going to be a chance for him to play? And I think he kind of shut it down. Did he not?
He was asked about it, I think 2 days ago.
Yeah.
In the morning, and he just said it's not high on the priority list.
Okay.
Oh, also, there was a clip from the last night that I wanted to bring up that it was hard to cut. There wasn't much to it. But a reporter asked him a question about defensive responsibilities for Willie Nylander and Mitch Marner with 11 and 7 if it changes or whatever. And Sheldon Keefe looked at the reporter and said, "You're overthinking it." And I was like, that's pretty rich.
Really? Yeah.
He said, "You're overthinking it." And he said it kind of in a hushed tone, like, he's overthinking it?
Yeah.
It's not me, it's him.
Yeah.
Is it me?
Anyways.
No, it's you.
But yeah, he said that getting Simmons back involved wasn't really high on the priority list.
Yeah,
Wow.
but that's one of those things that's hard to do and tough. I'm
Well,
sure it's
listen,
feelings, but
Whoever asked that question, the only reason I brought it up is like
know- you
if someone's
know who
going to
asked
ask
that
him about
question?
Wayne Simmons, someone asked him about Wall this week.
I'll put it to our intrepid
Right?
reporter.
Yeah.
Just, hey, we're going to see Wall playing any games.
that's going to get you the fire breath for sure.
Well, Luke
the way
Fox,
he's talking about
Hey,
him.
Luke
no,
Fox
not high
asked
on my
about-
priority list. Well, move it up. Move it up, buddy.
Rearrange the list.
Get it going.
It was Luke who asked about Wayne Simmons.
Yeah.
So I'll put in a request. See if our boy will ask for us.
Oh,
'Cause
he'll ask.
He will ask. You're right. Hey, maybe he's listening right now. Luke, are you listening? Ask about Joe Wall.
Bobby McMahon is healthy and ready.
You've
for-
got
for
our
next.
nice color schedule here. If you were to pick one game for Wall to get in,
Yeah.
Which one?
I got it at 2023-24, November 14th.
It's too late. I think it's too late.
I kind of do too.
he'll be the only goalie signed by then.
Oh, my
Very well
God.
could be.
I just think it's too late. No.
I don't think so. And I'm, 16 games is 16 games.
How about Sunday, March 26th in Nashville
Wow, good
on
one.
the second
Well
half
done.
of a back-to-back?
But okay, so then what? So he goes in there and he's awesome. Gives up one goal.
Okay.
Good.
They win
You're trying to win
3-1.
hockey games.
I'm sorry, but like if Samsonov, doesn't look great by the end of the week, I think Wall starts coming a lot sooner.
Oh, like you think there might be an injury concern or something, and then he gets called up or whatever.
I just think that you've got to send a message here. We got 3 goalies in the organization right now that we're confident in, and this guy's going to push you guys a little bit here down the stretch. I'm not letting you
Is
get
this
comfortable.
Is this the fairy tale that Leafs fans tell years from now?
Yes.
The brick wall came up and finally made himself known.
The
Okay.
next Binnington.
Yeah.
I'd be very fine. I don't care who's in net. Somebody makes some saves.
Just stop.
You
the
know
puck.
what I want to hear from Wool, because I haven't heard him speak before, is I want him to be like Binnington and be like incomprehensibly arrogant. That would make me feel way better.
Oh, like he's just like a total.
Yeah, like I'm the best. I
Yeah.
should be in net.
What took you so long?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I want to hear. Frankly, it's ridiculous to take. Have you seen my numbers? Look at that guy over there. And I want him to point at Murray and be like, look at him. How am I not being here?
He looks like he's in Peaky Blinders. Look at him.
Look at Arthur Shelby over there. He's seen enough.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We got Mike McKenna after the break, Daily Faceoff, hockey analyst. Always does a great job breaking down the goalies. We'll get his thoughts on Matt Murray, Samsonov, and what's Wall's first name? Joseph?
Close. No, you're right. It is Joseph.
Joseph Wall.
There it is.
Maybe we'll get to know his name a lot better
That's right.
in a week. We'll ask Mike McKenna after the break. You're watching and listening to Real Kyper and Bourne.
is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Nothing, Sammy? We good to go? Oh, nice. Nice. All right. That's the best I can do for Matt. Mike McKenna. Mike, are you there?
Oh, yeah, I'm here. I was just waiting for the big intro you usually give me. This is quick. We must be getting right to the meat and the potatoes here,
Listen,
eh?
there's
We
no
ready to
time
rock?
for your like 18 league resume.
It takes too long. I get it. Yeah, let's talk hockey, dude. Let's do it, man.
Hey, fourth best team in the league, and JB and my boy Sammy are just ripping on the goalie right now.
I feel some
Come
guilt.
on, you got to bring some love to Leaf Nation. Tell them it's not as bad as it seems, and this is just a little blip in Matt Murray's season. Go.
Well, I mean, you know, I don't disagree with what Sheldon Keefe said about where the goals came from last night on Murray. They were all really close to him. I didn't think that the goals were particularly bad in any way. What I do have concern about is the structure that he plays with and how robotic he is and how rebounds just bounce off of him. And it's upper body, it's lower body. They tend to sit there. And I'm not sure how sustainable that's going to be when you start to play against better competition. It's going to get to the net as often as other teams will when they're better teams. And right now you can call Buffalo a better team. Alex Tuch's back in the lineup. It changes everything for that team. They were 2-5-1 without him. So, I mean, I've never had a ton of confidence, unfortunately, in Murray, especially knowing that it's been several years since he's been at his best, and with the injuries involved, I wasn't sure how he'd be able to elevate his game this season. And so am I concerned there? I mean, yeah, with Murray, I think Samsonov has been fine, though. He's not the most crisp goaltender. He's not the most technically proficient, but he's had a pretty good year so far. So, I mean, if you're thinking about who's going to ride into the Stanley Cup playoffs, I just hope that the Leafs don't fall victim to thinking that, hey, we've got a guy who's won 2 Stanley Cups. We have to put him in the net. I hope they're playing whoever is best when it comes time for Game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
How much do you think that Matt Murray's struggles can be rust, can be coming back from injury? Like, he hasn't had any consistent run of play in a while. I just thought watching him versus the Oilers, there's the fourth goal. I don't know if you saw the Draisaitl one-timer that he doesn't quite get across the net on. There's the Kane wraparound. Like, it's stuff to me that, like, Mike, like, you make those saves, right? If you're out there. I don't know if it's rust or what it is, but I'm looking for a way to say that, like, he can find that again, but boy, it's pretty concerning.
Well, it hasn't been there for several years, and
Okay,
that's really
great.
been my knock. You can go back to even our conversations a year ago or less than a year ago when the signing took place was you need to see Matt Murray play a little bit of street hockey out there. And that doesn't mean to completely abandon technique. He has really good technique. I mean, I think he's done a pretty good job of narrowing up his stance and doing some other things this year to try to address that. But you're right about the fact that he's not dynamic, you know, and the Kane wrap, I think the Kane wrap, you can really look at that as a play where a guy's driving the net and you have to seal the ice, and he hasn't played in a while. And like you said, you can't just walk back in a lineup after a good week of practice and be a phenomenal NHL goaltender, I don't think. Like, I think it does take several games to make that happen. So I do think there's a little grace period where you need to allow with Murray. I think you still have 1 or 2 more games and practice weeks here where he should be getting back to where you'd like to see him. But if he doesn't free up those hands and doesn't start collecting pucks on his chest and shoulders and putting them either in good areas or getting whistles out of those, yeah, man, I do have concerns because that's the same Murray that we've seen over the last couple of years.
What is the 16 games to go? So how do you kind of see this thing playing out? You're saying, I hope they go with the hotter goalie or the better goalie. And that's based on the body of work for Murray in the last week of the season, the last 2 weeks. How much do you need to see for him to take over a Game 1 scenario? Because Samsonov's been so much better over the course of the 82-game season.
Well, that's what you're alluding to is where I'm at as well. Unless Murray just knocks the doors down in the next couple weeks here, it all goes towards Samsonov to me. You know, I mean, you would have to see Murray go on a run where he's putting up about a 940 over the next 7-8 games that he plays to really think that this is the guy that needs to be in the net. But I've seen this before, man. Like, think about Minnesota last year when they traded for Marc-Andre Fleury. I don't know if Cam Talbot lost more than one game in his last, 18 starts for Minnesota last year. It was stupid. And he got stuck on the bench. And that's not to say that Fleury had come in and played poorly or anything. It's just that he was Marc-Andre Fleury. And people and goalies that have a precedence, that have a reputation, they get a lot of leeway. Like, I see that in Vegas right now, too. He's Jonathan Quick. What happens if you get Logan Thompson back or Laurent Brossoit or Aiden Hill before playoffs? You know there's going to be a strong push in the front office, guys, to go with the goaltender that's won a couple Stanley Cups. But the play has to be there to support it. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm arguing for, and I'm not sure if Murray can pull that off in this short amount of time, given the injuries he's faced this year.
So you mentioned Samsonov and that his season has gone well. You said maybe not the most technically sound, or maybe, maybe not the, he's not the perfect goaltender.
He's gone.
Oh, we lost him?
He booped.
Oh, I didn't hear the boop. I didn't have the headset on.
Uh-oh, Kyper. He booped.
We got a boop.
I'll call him back.
With no warning at all.
No indication.
Usually they crack up, they fade in and out.
Yeah.
That's when I really give Sammy the hairy eyeball.
He got a good answer in before he booped out.
You know what? He made an excellent point about reputation.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at right now.
It is 100% the debate that's going on.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine those conversations over at the MLSC offices right now? But he's won 2 cups.
Yeah. The last 4 weeks, they both play, 8 games. Murray's a 9.05, 9.10, and Samsonov's a 9.20. You'll still have people saying, give it to the guy who's won the Stanley Cups. Mike, you back with us? Nope, he's not back with us.
Sammy. What's a week on the real
jobs back there now?
What's a week on the real Kyper and Bourne show without a few dropped calls?
But the Samsonov,
the American mobile system for this one.
Oh, okay. We're not blaming Sammy?
No, leave it. Take it easy on Sam.
Okay. All right. That's how much respect I have for you. I'm going to listen to you.
Thanks.
we were just talking about Samsonov, or I was going to ask you about Samsonov, and just, what you see from him. I know you mentioned that he's not the most this, that, or the other thing in the league, but has he taken strides this year? Where would you put him? Is he a legit number one in the NHL?
I think he's right at the cusp of that, and I think that he's shown that he could easily do it. And he's on the big stage in Toronto. Think about if Samsonov was playing for a team that really didn't have a lot to fight for. I think he'd be pretty clear cut. If you're looking at a team like, I don't know. I mean, even take where Montreal is at right now. They're trying to groom Montembeault, and Allen's a terrific veteran. But Samsonov could probably come in and play there. He could easily go to Columbus now and take that job, other places. I think this year has been a step forward for him. I think that he's earned the trust, at least, of his teammates and coaching staff, whereas that did not feel like it was the case previously with the Washington Capitals. That was always the narrative, is that we're not getting consistency. We don't know what we're going to get from Samsonov. I think it was a wake-up call for him, honestly, to have to go to another team, to kind of come up with your tail between the legs and realize, man, I got to work. I'm not just a first rounder anymore. I'm just another body. And I think that's really mattered. There's been a couple blow-up games this year, but I think for the most part, I haven't seen those big swings. I'd like him to stay on his edges more and be a little bit more patient. That's the only time I think he gets in trouble. I do think there's times against some of the best teams that he starts to press. He tries too hard. I'd like to see him just keep relaxed and stay patient on his edges, and I think it would fare a little better.
We're talking to Mike McKenna, Daily Faceoff hockey analyst. Mike, 16 games to go. I brought up the name Joseph Woll to come in and maybe put some healthy pressure or competition in the likes of a Matt Murray to get his numbers back up. Is there time for that?
I don't think with this many games left. And I also don't think that the pressure tactic is really going to make a difference for Murray. I think it's very internalized at this point. And I would also argue that you want Joseph Woll playing as many games as he possibly can in the American League and keeping his confidence high, because you don't know if you're going to need him. And if you got a three-headed monster at the NHL level, and that's not even dealing with, there's a bit of cap relief, obviously, with O'Reilly out, but I would much prefer to keep Woll playing at the American League, keep him rolling, because I think he's got a future with the Toronto Maple Leafs and in the NHL. I just think that this year it's a foregone conclusion. You've got Murray and Samsonov, and if that's who they're going to run with, I think you need to try to get the best version of Murray you can. And probably the best way is for him to continue playing games and for Woll down at the American League level as well.
I was going to ask you about a couple other situations around the NHL now that we've covered off on these three guys. You mentioned the Vegas situation a little earlier. What are your thoughts on the realistic, I guess, is it possible that Quick is their guy and actually they roll with him in the postseason? His numbers have just been awful this year, Mike.
Yeah, there's no way around it. I mean, Quick and Cal Peterson were losing games for the Los Angeles Kings. And talking to a lot of people that I know in and around that team in LA, they couldn't waive Jonathan Quick. You can't waive Jonathan Quick. You know, he's a franchise icon and legend and an expiring contract. Right. I think they went absolutely to the end of the rope with him to try to keep him there and make it work, and it just wasn't. Now, as far as him going to Vegas, I know his numbers look amazing, and he's 3-0. The first two games he played were okay against Tampa Bay, and his first start at home was pretty good too. Now, his latest game against Carolina is easy to look at, 33 save shutout, and go, wow. And he did make some big saves. He also didn't face a single odd man rush. He also faced a lot of shots from the outside. And that's the way Vegas plays. If you look at all five goaltenders, they've got pretty good statistics. So what matters for me is Vegas, it's the eye test on the goaltenders, and it's the advanced metrics. The advanced metrics aren't great for any of their goalies. But the eye test is what you got to look for here. Has Quick made any changes to his game whatsoever over the last decade? I haven't seen them. And the last 5 years have shown that it's problematic in the NHL. He's been a below-average goaltender for 4 out of those 5 years in every statistical category. That being said, boy, is that guy motivated. And boy, does he want to beat the Kings if they face them in the first round. And he's also playing behind two defensemen in Braden McNabb and Alec Martinez that he has all kinds of familiarity with from their Kings days. So Quick went to the best place imaginable for him in the NHL, because I'm really not sure how many other NHL places there were out there for him. It's a great place for him. I hate that I'm doubting a 2-time Stanley Cup champion, but he's going to have to prove it to me, and I need to see him challenged in some of the games going down the stretch.
Consecutive games for the Toronto Maple Leafs blowing coming from a 2-goal deficit. They saved one Saturday night. They gave one up last night, but the one Saturday night was against Stuart Skinner, who is really shaping up to be the guy for the Edmonton Oilers come game one here. Is a Saturday night where he doesn't close out a 3-1 lead something that could, hurt him in terms of prepping him for game one?
Well, considering that his goalie partner and Jack Campbell has done that quite a few times and given up a lot of goals this year, I don't think it's too much of a worry. But I think that with this club, it's an interesting mix in Edmonton, because look at the win-losses for both of those goaltenders. You're not far off between Skinner and Campbell, amazingly, in terms of the win column. But you look at the scoring between the two, and Skinner's numbers look pretty good. Campbell's numbers do not look good. Edmonton has to score a lot of goals to keep in the game with Campbell, and it ends up being a track meet. Now, he did have a great run in early January where he was phenomenal for a while, but he's riding that roller coaster again. I think when it comes down to Skinner, this is a guy who's got a pretty good mentality. I think he's a consistent goaltender. He's not a game stealer in the NHL yet. He may have that in him. But he's going to be the guy there. I don't see how Campbell could be the guy for the first game unless, again, he's lights out from here on out. And Campbell does have that ability, though, guys. That's why I think you have to have two goalies in Edmonton, because Campbell, you'll get him for 7 or 8 great games. But if you're Jay Woodcroft, you got to know when to get him out of there and go to Skinner, if that's the direction you choose to go. Skinner would be the safe route. Campbell would be the roll of the dice. And I don't know how you play that. I cannot coach that team, because I don't know which I would trust more for a short period of time. Over the long period, it would be Skinner. But if you needed one big game, it's a tough call, because Campbell has pulled those off before. It just hasn't happened with regularity.
Yeah. The big concern when we talk about the Leafs, and just last one for me here, Mike, we appreciate your time, was thinking about the series they're going to play. They're definitely going to have the second best goaltender as long as Andrei Vasilevsky is in the net for the Tampa Bay Lightning. going through his season a little bit. In January, the guy's a .946 save percentage. You know, and he's got some months this year that are similar to that, otherworldly. He hasn't been great for a little bit here. He's been an .865 in his last 6 games here this month. Is there any chance there's some cracks in his game? Like, Tampa's defensive game hasn't been as good, and he looks like he's struggling a little bit right now too.
What's kind of been interesting with Vasilevsky is that he's had some real blow-up games in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
6 goals against, 5, 6. He had a 7 spot earlier in February. Now, here's what has always made him so great. He allowed 7 February 6th against Florida. What does he do the next game? 30-shot shutout against the Avalanche.
Yeah. That
catches your eye real fast.
Yeah.
Okay, he allows 6 against Buffalo. That's February 23rd. What's his next game? 25th against Detroit. 45-shot shutout. But then again, now he allowed 5 against Pitt and comes back with 6 against Carolina. And that's where I kind of think that you can do that for a while, but you can't keep it up forever. And I think Vasilevsky's still the guy in the NHL that if you want to win one game, you're sticking him in the net. If you guys disagree with me, I'd like to hear a different name. He's still the guy. But I watch Tampa Bay, and I think that they've got half of their forwards skating pretty hard, but not very aware in the top half of that. And the bottom half has looked a little disjointed and slow of their forwards. And I don't think Jeannot has really clicked just yet there. They're still trying to figure out third, fourth lineup pairings. Is Edward out of the lineup? Belmar? I think that's a problem area for them. And I'm not sure defensively if they were able to add what they needed to on the blue line at the trade deadline. So I think Tampa's been loose. They can obviously score. I don't think Vasi's been at his absolute top of his game, but I don't see major cracks to it. I think Tampa has just gone through this spell where I don't think they had a lot of fun the last couple of weeks, guys, straight up. And I think that kind of festered for a little bit. They're going to need a big couple games here to turn things around. Like, they need a really good feel-good win. And it starts with Vasilevsky, but I think it goes through that entire group down there in Florida.
One more for me, Mike. I always find it fascinating to listen to coaches publicly comment on struggling goalies. And last night, I don't know if you heard the comments about Sheldon Keefe, but despite the numbers of Matt Murray, he was great last night, and basically, everything in front of him stunk. And I'm just wondering, does that go a long way for goalies? The praising when there's bad numbers? Is there something noble about Sheldon taking one for his goalie? Does it work? Does it help build Matt Murray's loyalty to him to be better?
You're a leader as a coach, right, Kip? Like, imagine if you got out there and you got your face beat in 5 times in a row, and the coach stood up there after the game and go, yeah, Kip can't fight, man. He shouldn't be doing that anymore. I don't know why we have him out there.
Well, actually, it did happen at the end of my career. I don't know.
Yeah. But seriously, like think about that and how you'd feel with it. Even though you've shown up, you've done everything you can for your teammates, you've put the work in, and you just had a bad stretch where you ate some knuckles, I think it's really important, especially with Murray coming back from injury, knowing where he factors in with this team in Toronto, that he supports them. And I don't disagree with that assessment, because he's speaking about the goals that went in. Those weren't bad goals that went in last night, folks. They weren't. They were from 3 feet away, like you said, chip-ins and tap-ins from close. Could he cover vertically a little better? Maybe. That's something to work on. I'm more worried about the process of his game. I do think, like I say, those rebounds are problematic. He's robotic. But Keith's doing the right thing here to back his players, because he's trying to keep that culture right before playoffs. You don't want anything to go sideways, especially when you lose a game to Buffalo. Okay, that team's coming along, but they're still a rival. They're right down the road from you. You don't want to let that fester. You want to get ready for the next game. And I think, to me, it was just a vote for Murray saying, hey, you're back in here. We trust you. We're going to be a part of this. I'm going to back you no matter what. But behind closed doors, guys, it may be a different story. You never know that.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the reality of this.
Right.
We know that for sure. Hey, Mike, always a pleasure having you on our show. Thanks for doing a great job.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to, guys. And I'm going to go visit that T-Mobile store and give them a piece of my mind for you, okay?
All right.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy.
Mike
Appreciate
McKenna,
it.
Daily
See you,
Face-Off
guys.
hockey analyst. He does a fantastic job, and
Yes.
always gives me something else to kind of look at for sure. And yeah, I did want to ask that question to him about Sheldon protecting Matt Murray, and he played that role. Like, there's no question that forwards or defense, they don't get that same kind of shield or buffer zone because there's only one goalie that can play for you at a time.
Yeah.
You gotta think about really those type of comments and the repercussions of maybe the psychological disadvantage or advantage you can get from coaches' comments.
It's just funny because I remember earlier in this season, Samsonov was going through it a little bit and said after a game that he never felt comfortable. It might have been his return to Washington, like he didn't feel great. And Sammy was talking about Murray, who had just gone out and lost a game and said, yeah, we'll get him next time. Like he was the guy who seemed like pretty unflappable. And I just think the injury thing hurts him in more ways than just, being injured. Like it gets in your head that maybe he can't do the same things, that maybe it makes him rustier. Like the injuries have more effect than just missing some games to me. And it's hurt his chances of being the best goalie he can this year.
The other thing Mike McKenna just did is he kind of talked me out of Joseph Wall.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. He did.
I like the idea of letting him continue to play.
Yes. And I agree with that.
Yeah.
And also that you don't need to build any more pressure than's already there on either Matt Murray or even Wall. Don't overthink it. Just
if
go
you're
to
getting called up, we'll tell you that day.
Listen, exactly. And just go in there and react. Don't overthink meat. It's bad for the ball club.
Right.
So I'll retract my request to Luke Fox to ask about Joe Wall down the stretch here, Kipper.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
I'll retract the
no,
request.
we'll still have it for a great Kipper's Clipper.
Oh, okay. So we're just putting him to the wolves for our sake.
For entertainment.
We already know what the answer is.
I do think you're getting fire breath on that one.
Luke,
how dare you?
Luke's response to my text was, "Oh boy."
You don't have to, Luke. You don't have to.
No, Luke's going to go in there and go, okay.
I didn't want to ask this.
This is from Nick Kypreos from the Real Kyper and Bourne Show.
I mean,
Yeah,
if we
he'll
got,
walk off
if we
the
got him on
stage.
the show, we could just ask him.
Yeah, it's true. That is true. Well, maybe PR will
But
set that up for us.
I think he can still come in and do a great job if he just comes in and is right out of the Marlies.
Yeah.
Right? A goalie's a goalie.
No expectations.
No, zero.
By the way, if we get there, we're in trouble. Like they're down 3 Cobb or like it's not a pretty situation if we're going throw in Wall.
Yeah, somebody's hurt. Somebody's
Things have gone awry.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But I mean, still doesn't mean it won't happen. So
Yeah, that quick one's interesting. That is.
But it's actually a larger version of what we're doing here in Toronto, where you're saying
Murray?
this guy has done it, so that's worth X compared to how he's currently playing.
It's true. It's 2-time Cup champion. Like the parallels are endless.
Yeah.
He's just older, I guess.
And I mean, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Memory, not so much.
There's always someone that still thinks you got it.
For sure. And you just got to find that person. And, maybe it's Kyle Dubas.
All right. We're gonna take a break. We got Adam Oates coming on the other side. We'll get into McDavid's dominance and his appearance at the Junos last night. Did you hear that?
I heard on a different show that he announced Nickelback,
Yes.
which to me is the most predictable Connor McDavid band of all time. I'm so unsurprised.
But Nickelback is actually quite good, right? Like it's just like they're the coolest band to hate on, but they're quite good.
Yes, they are good.
They're a good band.
Yeah,
They're
I would
like one
say
of those.
historically they have put out very popular music.
And listen, they they sell out worldwide tours. They're very well selling.
So do
Everyone's
the Wiggles, bud.
like, wow, come on. They're a good Canadian band.
I'm just
Nickelback
saying,
is
let's judge our man. They are. I'm not going to sit here and do the thing.
Remind me.
Yeah,
I
but
haven't thought about them in about 18 years.
yeah, well, they're still making $60 million a year on
they are.
worldwide tours.
And
So,
so is
they are.
Nickelback, baby.
Okay, Adam Oates, Connor McDavid, the Wiggles after the break.
Field, Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
All right, as promised, before the break, let's welcome in Hall of Famer, former NHLer and president of Oates Sports Group, Adam Oates. Oatesy, how are you, pal?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. I take it on a Saturday night, you had a lot of fun maybe sitting back and watching a McDavid, Matthews, Marner show. The amount of skill was unbelievable portrayed that night.
It sure was, wasn't it? Like what a treat for people to see the talent that those guys have.
When you listen, we got to play in an era where we watched brilliance a lot. You know, whether it was you passing the puck or Gretzky or Lemieux. It just seems like now McDavid is head and shoulders above everyone else. Is that fair to say, or is that not giving others a ton of credit as well?
You know what? He's having an absolute fantastic season, and he does it every night, and you see it every night. And you know what? You definitely. I've always felt you want to compliment someone, and you play with the best, right? Like like how do you say Gretz is that much better than Mess? I got to play against all those guys, right? Like Gretzky and Mario, like you're splitting hairs.
Yeah.
But Connor is having an absolute fantastic year. He does get to play with Leon. He does get to play on a team that likes to score goals. But he's also doing it, right? And you know what? It's one of those. It's just you got to sit back and it's a treat to watch.
You know, I'm curious to get your take on skill around the league that isn't on a team. I'm going to Trevor Zegras specifically. This guy is an all-world phenom. Kids are emulating him, talking about him, but he's playing on the Anaheim Ducks, who are not in competitive hockey games. He can maybe try some things that he wouldn't be allowed to try. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Zegras' season and his skill versus like being a coach and the actual contribution of using that skill towards winning?
Well, Trevor's actually one of my clients, and yes, he's a very talented man.
Yeah.
But for me personally, there's a difference between Instagram skill and skill.
Right.
And he's kind of got both. And I'm trying to get the Instagram out of there. You know what? And he's great about it, where he's like, I just can't help myself sometimes. And yeah, he can do things I can't do and never would have thought of, right? So I get that. But if you're trying the Michigan goal, how many times has he succeeded with it?
Is it once, twice? I don't know.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah.
How many times has he tried?
Oh, I don't know. 15?
200.
That's a good question.
No. 200?
Oh,
really?
Yes.
Oh, that's not a good ratio.
Exactly. And that's 198 times that you might be open in the slot looking for a pass.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So is it fantastic? Yes, it is. It's fantastic. Like the one especially, I think it was in Buffalo, they gave to Milano. Incredible.
Yeah.
Because he actually sort of picked it up and saw him. Right? So that's incredible. And it is incredible. But what I keep telling him is, like he scored a goal between his legs the other night. Fantastic. Then the next night, he tried it again in Calgary, and he lost the fucking whiffed. And what I don't want is him to get hurt because he's sticking his stick between his legs, number one. And number two, what if there's a teammate open? Because sooner or later, your teammates are not going to like you. Like, they see it, but I want to pass too, right?
Yeah.
So to me, I want to improve his success rate. If you have a window of opportunity to try that play, go ahead. Otherwise, make the right hockey play at that time. Last time I checked, you get 80 helpers, they're going to like you too.
I would imagine that, with a guy now like Pat Verbeek, these conversations must be going on daily, not just you and your client.
I would think so, Kyper, because at the end of the day, I'm sure Pat sees his talent, his brilliance, and you know what? Like, are you going to run a power play? I'm sure Pat wants to grow those aspects of his game as well, right? And just become a complete hockey player day in and day out. And we all like the occasional one. I got no problem with it either. But if you're looking to do it all the time, I think that's personally a mistake.
Yeah, I can see that. I want to draw on your coaching experience too and ask you what you think about what's going on in Toronto, going 11-7. I tweeted last night. It feels like there's some. It takes a lot of the coach's attention, always thinking about what the situation is, who's got gas left in the tank. You're kind of mixing things up all the time. To me, it really takes your attention away from coaching the rest of the aspects of a hockey game. What are your thoughts on going 11-7 in your experience?
You know what? Sometimes it's very difficult. I got a feeling they're experimenting because they brought some guys in. They've got a history the last couple of years, what they probably think they need to focus on going in the playoffs. They're probably trying to experiment with how that's going to work out. I know that they got 9D right now, so I think there's a little bit of rotation. You see Boston doing that as well. So I think it's a lot of posturing and maneuvering to try and figure out, depending on who they match up against, what are we going to do?
Last year we were talking about Austin Matthews in the same regards that we're talking about Connor McDavid this year. Historic year for him last year. This year, he might be hard-pressed to reach 40 goals, the way his season's been hot and cold. Do we underestimate, does the average Joe watching right now underestimate the mental strain it is going from having that type of season to having another one? Does that get talked enough about the pressure?
I would say that, yeah, for sure. I mean, everybody knows the stats, everybody. And we always know them. And then if you look at the guys in the West Coast, when they show up at the arena, they're looking to see who scored on the East Coast tonight. Everybody's watching to see how many that guy got. So it's constant. It's a constant evolution. I also know that Toronto hasn't played him with Marner as much this year, so I'm sure that's got something to do with it. And you know what? It hasn't quite been as easy for him this year, but I've also watched him lately. I thought he's played really good lately. So you know what? It's one of the things. He's always going to be an elite goal scorer, and you know what? We're always looking at high numbers. And that's the pressure that he's put on himself with his success.
Well, see, I'm working on a little project for Sportsnet on, creating offense and the things that really make a difference, that contribute to quality chances. And one of the biggest things seems to be moving the puck across the middle of the ice, making a pass, that sort of puck movement. What sort of things do you talk about with your guys about things that create quality chances in the NHL?
You know what? We have sort of a system of, like, when you think about it, obviously power play, that's number one, right? And then number two would be outnumbered situations. You're entering the zone. Is there something available on an entry? And then there's the 5-on-5 game. And every team has different rules, right? Some teams like low to high. Some teams want to go D to D. I like my guys playing behind the net. I like the guys battling behind the net, and that makes you have to battle. You have to win a battle. You got to be prepared to battle, and then you know what? You got to try and win one, and you got to escape on your backhand sometimes. Can you do that? And that's a lot of skill necessarily to be able to do that. So at the end of the day, you would need to be able to take advantage of every situation if possible, which sounds easy, but it's not, of course.
Well, we saw that behind the net last night on the game-winning goal with Tuck. Was that who set that up?
Exactly right.
Was it Thompson?
Yeah, Tage Thompson.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you're talking about. And Buffalo's pretty good at creating.
Yeah, you look at last year in Calgary, Johnny Gaudreau and Tkachuk, they took turns being back there, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were plus 60. 60.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's hard, but I'm not gonna lie, it's hard back there. It is, but you got to be willing to win a battle. But you think about it, the other team, the goalie's got to hug the post. The other team, the net picks them. So now they have to sort of find coverage, look for that other guy. They lose track of where certain guys are, like the defensemen. So if you can win a battle back there and find a seam, which obviously Gretz was the best, there's openings, and it's a 15-foot shot. I love those plays.
Do you find that defensive structure has changed? Like, I remember for a long time, every team played a zone defense. It feels like a lot of teams have gone back to a man-on-man, or at least a man-on-man below the sort of hash marks. Has it changed over the years?
Yeah, they tried different stuff. They tried to swarm one time. I would say that they're definitely still sagging a lot. You know, and that's why you have to win battles, because a lot of teams are trying this third guy high, which is okay. Like, it works at times too. But now you take a forward, and he goes out to the point. So, like, let's say he shoots it. Now he's at the blue line. Yeah. So if nothing good happens, it's 2 against 5 down there. And he's not going to get caught diving in as F3, because we get yelled at for that. So now it's like, so you get a lot of one-and-dones because of that.
OC, you also get yelled at a lot when you turn the puck over in front of your own net. Saturday night, we saw McLeod serve one up that Mitch Marner absolutely feasted on, and it changed the whole complexion of the game. Is it just a foregone conclusion now that players are allowed to do that, and it's just a matter of, you know, better execution? Because I know where my ass would be at the moment I made a pass like that.
Yeah, you know what? At the end of the day, yes. You know, you're coming out from behind the net. There's a forechecker. You got to know where he is. You got to be able to execute. That's another skill, right? You ask your D all the time, hey, man, I need you to break us out. They got, you know, in the neutral zone, it's a 1-2-2. Can you beat the first guy, please? You put on your partner's tape and beat that guy so we can get some territory. And you know what? Mitch is obviously a fantastic, crafty guy with a great stick and picked his pocket.
Yeah, it's a thing he's exceptional at. You know, I just want to get your thoughts on the Toronto Maple Leafs and their chances against the Tampa Bay Lightning, as they almost certainly are forced to play each other here coming up in about 4 weeks. Leafs, your Tampa's struggling a little bit. Do you think this is the year the Leafs can finally find a way through?
I would say, honestly, Tampa is not the same team they were. You know, when you win a cup, guys get raises, and with the cap, it affects some of your depth. So I would say, I would say Toronto's added some pieces that I think are very helpful. I think they're a very good team, and you know what? Maybe it's time. Carolina lost Svechnikov last night. That's going to be devastating for them.
Yeah, it really
Great
is.
player.
It changes a lot in the East, I think.
It does. It really does. You know, like that could be devastating for them. And they're a very, very, very good team as well. You know, Toronto obviously can score goals at will. That is not their problem. You know, can you match up a team? Can your penalty killing? Can your D-zone coverage do the job?
Ryan O'Reilly, the right guy for you at the trade deadline for the Leafs?
You know what? Yes. Really good player, big game player, can play every situation. You know, he knows the situation going in, so I really like that move.
And the mere fact that he's been there and he's done that, you think, unfortunately, losing him can slow down the process of leading off the ice, being a guy that can grab somebody by the collar every once in a while and saying, we need more?
Yeah, that definitely factors in. That's a very good point, Kyper. Like, really good in terms of the last month, keeping us on the right path, right? Yeah. But hopefully he'll get back, and that the boys will feel that, because that is one of his great qualities.
It sure is. Hey, OT, always a pleasure, man. Great insight in everything. Really appreciate your time.
Oh, anytime, guys.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Adam Oates now doing a lot of work. He's the president of Oates Sports Group, and he's got a ton of clients, and a lot of them sometimes looking like Oatesy.
My favorite part of that interview is him talking about Zegras and being like, he's got Instagram skill and real skill, and we're trying to get rid of one.
How come when I say it, I'm the dinosaur, but when the Hall of Famer says it, it's like, yeah, he should get off that thing.
We had Scott Niedermeyer on last year, and he said the exact same thing.
Yeah.
With Zegras, about how they're trying to work on that. I actually love, the other thing I love, which that's why I love having him on. He always brings up something that I never thought of. But the winning the battle, coming and being able to handle the puck on your backhand coming out of the battle is such an interesting thing that I would never think of. But it happens so often behind the net where you have to fire that backhand pass.
Oh, it's a Draisaitl feasts.
And like you said last night, Tuck, who beats McCabe, and no look backhand pass right on the tape to Tuck. It's
in
such
fairness,
an
I don't
important
even
skill.
think he beat McCabe.
No,
McCabe
he just-
was fine position. He just made a behind the back sick play.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah,
McCabe
no,
was
it
just
was-
he
yeah.
was the closest guy who was
Elite.
That's all high talent. And,
Yeah.
you know, the other thing is, like, they're big. They're big and they're strong and they got long sticks and size matters.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I would say there's a resurgence in the awareness of people being aware of this. Like the Penguins won the cup in 16, 17, 17, 18, and they were a smaller team, and people were like, maybe you don't have to be big anymore. And then like the next 5 or 6 years, it's been big teams that have won the cup. So it is a relevant thing. You know what I thought was interesting was his point about, and this is something the Leafs do, is they run a forward high in the offensive zone between the D, and they get a pass, and then, you know, this kind of creates a coverage problem. Do you come out and, which it's a coverage problem, but what are you creating from there that's dangerous? You know, at best you pull someone away, but if you get a shot, you're nowhere near it to outnumber the other team.
Shin pads a lot of time.
Yeah. I like the idea that it does create difficulty for the defense, but it's almost like you've got a bad 3-point shooter stand outside before the 3-point line. You're like, have it.
Yeah.
You can have it out there. We don't care.
Russell Westbrook from the 3-point line. You're like,
you can
chalk it up
have
there,
it.
baby. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an interesting note because I typically have watched that and been like, ooh, I like that. But yeah, what have I really seen generated off it? Not a ton.
And it gets tighter and tighter as we get towards the playoffs.
Yeah. And a lot of teams are more capable and content to let you have the puck.
Go.
And just say,
Go.
you can have it on the paint. Good luck bringing
You
it
still gotta
to
come
this
back
part.
here
Right.
eventually.
This is where you need to get to, and
Yeah.
we'll be here.
Yeah.
So
waiting.
That
And
has
tha- and
typically been a
that's-
problem for Toronto.
It has, especially around Hedman, Sergachev, and McDonough,
McDonough.
who's no longer there.
Nope.
And that's part of the change that Adam Oates was just talking about with Tampa. Like, sometimes it has to catch up to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Chernak is a guy who can help them there too, but he's hit and miss. Like Bogosian, when he was here, I think some people thought, I don't know if he can do it anymore. It's been
Cole.
2 years now. Cole, Perbix, Hayden Fleury.
Yes.
You know, like once you get past their top 3 or so, you like where the Leafs look or how the Leafs look.
Yeah, but you also look at their top.
No, I know.
They're going to play half the game.
Yeah.
Right? So you're going to have to attack the time that they don't play.
Which is why you want to have improved depth, which is, they've done. So the worst part is you don't just have to beat them once, eh? Like they go out and beat Tampa in a game, and it's like, again.
Now, 3 more times?
Again.
Before they beat you 4 times?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
All right. Adam Oates also mentioned Svechnikov out for the rest of the season. I think the Canes made an official announcement that he will have season and playoff ending surgery.
Yes.
That, as Oatesy said, is devastating.
Oh.
And you've got to wonder now in the East where that kind of leaves Carolina in the first round against a wild card team that became a little bit easier to defend.
Yeah.
Because Svechnikov, although his numbers aren't fantastic, like he's so hard to defend. Big, strong.
Oh, and you should see
playoff player.
There's teams now going good.
Great.
Good.
Oh, if you're the Penguins right now, so first off, Mike Kelly put this out on Svechnikov. His team ranks on Carolina, 3rd in goals and assists, 2nd in points, 2nd in expected goals, 3rd in ozone possession, 3rd in slot passes, 3rd in slot shots, 3rd in rush chances, 1st in rebound chances. Blah, 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 blah. It goes on and on. Like he's a top dog for them in a major way. So to your point, if you're the first wild card team is going to get the Bruins, night. The second wild card team is going to get either Carolina or New Jersey. If you're the Pittsburgh Penguins, Carolina minus Svechnikov.
Oh yeah.
Who do you like?
Who are you picking? Because I would much rather play Carolina than New Jersey.
Carolina minus Svechnikov.
Yes.
Even New Jersey is young though, like in terms of their most important people. And we've seen in Toronto, it can take some experience. The Penguins have.
Yes.
The Penguins would be Tampa Bay versus old Toronto, right? Like this is young stars on the come up versus wily guys who know how to do it.
I'm just looking at they are a deep team in terms of they have good players on all 4 lines, right?
Pittsburgh?
No, Carolina. They're still a really good team.
But they've always
They also
lacked
have Jesse-
the top end
And a
guys.
solid blue line, right?
They
That's
also
where
have
they eat.
Yes.
They're great there.
They also have Jesse Puljujärvi on the top line.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that just brings me to the next topic here, at least with Carolina, is like, this is where, again, if you want to compete for a Stanley Cup, this is the old kind of, you need 6, 7, 8, 9 defensemen.
Mhm.
You need depth.
Yeah.
And they go cheap. That's why the Puljujärvi's there. They go cheap. And it's going to come back and haunt them that they did not.
Yeah.
Not that you can forecast a star player going down, but you have to have those conversations. If we lost so-and-so, who's there?
They could have got Timo Meier. Carolina could have. They didn't want to part with picks.
Yeah. Well, they're going to part with a Stanley Cup chance.
Right. You know, that is a team that has been this close for this long. You know how many years they've been real contenders? 3 straight years.
Yeah.
And not making a bigger move at the deadline.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. It's bad luck with the Svechnikov thing, but they didn't protect against it in any meaningful way.
They did not. What draft was that, Sammy? Svechnikov's.
Is
that
Darlene?
Darlene
Yeah,
first?
It was. Definitely was.
And where was Svechnikov number 2 or 3?
I'm just pulling it up right now.
Remember when he was
sir?
19 and Ovi punched him
He
in
was-
the mouth?
Oh my God, he punched him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. He was 2, and then Kotkaniemi, who plays for the. He goes,
my God.
and then you know who went.
over there, eh?
and then-
Kotkaniemi one?
Yes.
Because you know who went 4th?
Yeah.
Brady Kachuk.
Oh.
Oopsie. Oopsie.
Oopsie.
That is a oopsie.
Oh.
Kachuk is, like I've said this to you guys before, but if we were drafting our teams from a pool of players in the league, Brady Kachuk would be scary high on my
Yeah,
list.
well,
Would you take-
We've done the
would you
Braden Point
take-
thing. He's got 41 now.
Would you take, if you were Buffalo, would you take in a do-over?
Brady over Darlene.
Yes. Would you?
No, I don't think so. Now that you're at this point with Darlene, I think
I
you'd
like Darlene. This is not a Darlene knock. I just love Brady.
I
Me
know.
too.
Yeah.
Me too.
That one's
Yeah.
That's a
you-
good
but
one.
Brady Kachuk, like Ottawa's doing, is a centerpiece.
Identity guy.
But he's he's miserable to play against,
Oh,
right? Like
miserable.
he's just
Like-
And I love defense too.
yeah. Now that you got Owen Power and you know you got power, it's a lot easier to say I would, because you want that number 1D and you wouldn't have had it. But then now that you know you have power, it's a lot easier to go in a redraft. I would.
If you're a smaller defenseman and you're like Brady Kachuk's in front of the
But
net on the power play and you're trying to defend, you're just like, God, I don't want
Lilligren's out there like,
I don't
"Ah."
want to do
You
this.
take a Brady over a healthy Svechnikov too, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What's Brady got for goals? I think
He's at 26 in the year.
yeah. Like he's gonna have
66 points in 66 games.
he'll
so
have
far.
a 40-goal season at some point.
Yep. He had 30 last year. He's a like
And what's he 23 or 4 or something like that?
yeah.
I
If
don't know.
you're redrafting that draft, which is a really interesting one, that's Quinn Hughes went 7 in that draft. Like it's an interesting one. Looking down the name of guys.
Who'd the Leafs get?
I don't know if they had a first round pick in that one. They did. Rasmus Sandin, 29th.
All right. Speaking of injuries,
Has Rasmus Sandin scored 5 any more points? I haven't really been keeping track. Is he red
I
hot
don't know.
still?
I just know that Lilligren bigged him up in some interview recently.
how many points does he have? Seriously.
8 points in 4 games.
He's Dmitry Orlov in reverse. They got the Orlov points back.
Yeah. He's just
Is
it's-
anybody got 8 points on the Leafs?
In the last 4 games, outside of
Well,
Mitch
probably
or Austin.
Mitch, yeah. Mitch has
No, defense.
Yeah.
no.
Not a real concern.
All right. Lehkonen, Colorado, out 4 to 6 weeks. Will not play against Toronto tomorrow night.
With a broken finger with the Ryan O'Reilly injury.
They've had brutal
No pinky
injuries.
promises between those two.
Apparently not. Not a lot of finger pointing.
Brutal injury luck this year for them.
Colorado. Oh, awful. Everyone's been hurt.
Just does not end.
I guess that's part and parcel with a long run to the Stanley Cup Finals and guys get banged
Short
up
summer.
and short summer and like it's just maybe that something to do with it. It's a grind to get there.
You didn't clip Nathan McKinnon's comments, did you?
I didn't, but I can tell him what
Yeah.
he said.
What do you say?
He said that I'm just pulling it up here. Give me 2 seconds. Uh-oh.
He's
Can you hear me typing?
he's now they're playing the
Let me
underdog.
I got
update you on where Colorado's at while he's looking
Yeah.
it up.
He said, I'm sure nobody wants to see us in the first round if we are in a wild card spot.
Why is he talking about the wild card spot? They're in 3rd in the Central right now. Barely.
Well,
Yeah. I guess they're going the wrong way a little bit.
Well, now they're the underdogs.
Is that what it is?
Sure.
That's big in the start of the playoffs. Coaches just desperately vying to position their team as the underdog. Wait till you hear Sheldon Keefe talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning before this playoff series.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, this Tampa Bay Lightning team
He
is
is
going to be
gonna-
the best team on earth.
He is going
Of all
to
time.
wax poetic.
Yeah.
It's like they're, I can predict it now. They've been
It's
to,
getting redundant.
been to 3 Stanley Cup finals. All their guys have been there.
I mean, listen, they're half Hall of Famers, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, the goaltender's the best person to ever exist.
So they are 1 point up on a wild card spot, Colorado.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
And what's I know we're going to get into probably Colorado a lot more on tomorrow's show as the Toronto Maple Leafs await them. But Georgiev, is it Georgiev?
Yeah.
Yes.
Georgiev.
No,
or
Georgiev.
Nope,
George.
First, Georgiev.
Overall, like McKenna kind of crowned Samsonov as a number one goalie. How about this guy? Jury's out.
Jury's still out.
He's
for
having
sure.
he's 263,
bad.
917 save percentage. So he's pretty
Right.
Yeah,
league.
That's
Yeah,
great.
but a little bit above league average.
Okay, so that
Played-
keeps him in the ballpark.
yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I don't think he'd be any better or worse than Kemper. What's Kemper done this year? Right? Like, it's
You're right. It's crazy looking at the West and what the matchups will be. Like, I'm going to give you the first round were to end today. You'd be looking at Colorado, Minnesota, Dallas, Edmonton,
ooh, that's a throwback series.
Winnipeg, Vegas, and LA, Seattle. Like, I don't mean is there who is a contender there? Colorado's a contender, Edmonton's a contender, Vegas
Don't come to Real Kyper and Bourne for the detailed breakdown of the Kings series.
of the
when I'm
Kings Seattle
snoring.
series. Yeah.
But it's funny that Edmonton Dallas, you think back to all those series that they used to have when they would be like the closest sweeps of all time, where they'd go to double OT in every game and Dallas would beat them in 4 straight. But
Yeah.
that's funny. Like, you're right. It's just, we can get back into the conversation about the East versus West. But like, look what the first round matchups would be in the Eastern Conference.
Those would be Boston versus the Islanders,
Yes.
Tampa, Toronto,
Mm.
the Hurricanes versus the Penguins, New Jersey, Rangers.
Slugfests.
New Jersey versus the Rangers is a thrill ride. How much skill would be in that series?
I can't believe the teams that are going home early.
Yeah.
And like,
What about, in the West, Seattle lost last night to
Yeah.
Dallas.
Yeah.
Are they slipping here?
They are. They're slipping a bit. The thing is, there's no one in ninth in the West to threaten them. Like
Nashville has got 2 or 3 games in hand.
they
do.
do.
They not?
That's a good point.
That's
they do.
6 right there.
But their team stinks.
Yeah, but they
And
suck.
that's a
yeah,
problem.
and they sold and
Yeah, they got rid of the good guys. Well, some of them.
but
No Ekholm, no Tanner Jeannot, but they're 6 points behind the Winnipeg Jets, but with 3 games in hand. So theoretically, they're in the hunt. The Calgary Flames are also 6 points back of the Jets, no games in hand.
they've got Arizona tonight,
The Flames, yeah.
and then Vegas, Dallas, LA Kings,
Yeah.
Vegas twice, I think, in a week and a half.
But they got a lot of California teams, Kings, Ducks,
Yeah,
Sharks, Kings.
It's not going to happen for them, guys.
No, it's not.
I've watched a ton of them this year, and it's just, they can't score.
No pulse, no puck movement.
It's confounding to me. They just cannot score.
And just like that, right? Just Matthew Tkachuk. Okay, we felt maybe 50-50 on Johnny Hockey staying there,
yeah.
but the Matthew Tkachuk just turned that franchise upside down.
So some of the like stat digging I do, they're the worst team at like passing the puck. They don't have a lot of offensive puck movement. They're kind of stationary, whatever. Oates talked about those guys were always behind the net.
100%. That's
Right?
the first thing I thought of when he said it was that, oh
Pucks
my
just
God,
stopped.
You're right. He's right.
Yeah.
Between those 2 guys and Elias Lindholm,
Yeah.
they were like the best line.
They were literally the best line in the league by goals for, goals against.
Yeah, how do you replace
By miles.
200 and what do they have?
Yeah.
210 points
But
between
in
those
theory,
2 guys?
they're like, we got Huberdeau and Kadri, but it's like Huberdeau's got 44 points in 60-some games. And
Kadri's numbers came back to where
his numbers are good. I think he's got 46 or 49 points in 60
Point a game.
games. Yeah,
He'll
not
finish
quite, but
with-
yeah.
He'll finish with 75, 80 points.
Yeah, maybe not quite that high, but yeah, it's been a good year. He's
Good-
a good, he's been a useful guy.
Yeah, good on. He's 49 points, 67, but good on the man. He had a unbelievable contract year where he went to the Stanley Cup final. He scored a winning goal in the final. Like he had the ideal
This man
contract
has
year.
checked all the boxes.
He really did. And
He
it's
got
just
his
like,
cup. He got his money.
yeah, it's pretty good to be Naz, I would imagine.
Yeah.
All right. I did mention earlier Connor McDavid at the Junos. You want to hear? Listen to how he opened it up.
Okay.
Oh, do we have the clip? Oh boy.
This was in Edmonton.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Does he say something here? Or?
It's coming.
You wanted
He's
Juno.
building it up. This is for you, Sammy.
Oh yeah.
He just starts.
You guys
Never
are too
made
much.
it as a blind.
You guys
man.
are too much. You guys are too much. You know how much I love playing here in front of you guys. So
There it is, Sammy.
Oh yeah.
He's not coming to Toronto.
Okay. Yeah.
He announced it last night at the
And
Junos.
then he drank a cup of actual oil after. That's his commitment to the city.
Sorry, pal.
We had a poll on our. Oh, it's gone now, but it was over 50% of people said that Nickelback rocks.
Over 57%. Is that what you just said?
Over 50%.
Over 50%. What? Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's nice to see.
We do not agree.
It's nice to see these guys go out and try to, be normal non-hockey robots. But like, you saw him interviewed on the red carpet too, and it's just like, oh my god.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's like pulling teeth.
I feel bad for him. Like, he's obviously not comfortable with it. He just happens to be awesome at hockey.
Yeah.
Like, there's no thing. It's like, I happen to be the best at this. I don't want to do that part. And they're like, well, if you're going to do that, you got to do that.
Was Sid really, for the majority of his career, any different?
No.
Did he come across
No.
they're just hockey players? That's all they want to do is just play. Love the game. Love hanging out with the guys
Sid's
behind the scenes.
grown up. He's better now, but he's got his cups. Connor's still got the, the cups
edge.
yet.
The edge.
Connor needs to get that family wholesome brand Tim Hortons behind him.
That's right.
You
That's
know,
what he needs.
we get a little of this on when we watch the basketball TNT with Charles Barkley
Oh, yeah.
and Shaq.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it would be like to be a true superstar in the league, but always have that. You never won anything.
Oh,
You
it's-
never won.
It's awful, too.
You're not in the club.
It's like Barkley's just,
Right?
anytime he makes like a good point and frustrates them, there's like, you never won. It's like, oh, God.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
cool to have the secret
You
recipe.
should drop the trump card, eh?
I
Yeah.
wonder what band Sidney Crosby would introduce.
Oh, Nickelback as well.
Okay.
Except Crosby liked Follow the Leader was his favorite album.
Or the Rankin family from the East Coast.
That's probably what it is. The
It's
Cranberries.
Sloan all day long. What are you guys talking about?
Sloan, yeah.
Hey, did we also on YouTube have a poll on Joseph Wall? Didn't I see that?
I don't know. I
Brilliant.
never saw that. Sportsnet, they're
Is
just
it gone?
Oh, it's gone. They fire them up, and then I'm talking to you guys, and then they go and they're gone.
Oh,
But
we didn't get a final result on
So-
whether or not people wanted to see Joseph Wall in.
I think I'm gonna make Luke Fox ask, and then we'll see what happens. boys.
96% said yes.
Well, it's always the best, these polls, the recency bias polls, where
Yeah.
it's just like, do you trust the Leafs goaltending after?
Yeah.
And it's like,
Oh,
no.
it's -3, and it's like, is Liljegren good? It's like,
No.
it's the wrong time to ask.
Yeah.
He is good. He's a very good defenseman.
Anything coming out of the general manager meetings at all? Anything?
Yeah, Kyle Dubas confirmed what we already knew, but he said that Ryan O'Reilly is expected to return to the Leafs lineup
Oh,
before the
thank God.
playoffs.
Thank God. You know
And
what?
he
That's great.
adds-
Give
they
his
were-
whole body a break, too. With
they
a
were-
finger, he can exercise, too.
They were
That's-
very fortunate because of the type of break he suffered to his finger.
Oh, good.
That's all that's come out that's significant.
That's what happened in Florida. Ryan's fine.
Everybody needed to go to
32
Florida to
GMs.
find
We
that
sent
out.
a crew, cameramen.
Boy,
What's
there-
the result? Ryan's fine.
And pucks
There's-
over the glass.
There's some la-di-da golf course that doesn't have a lot of tee times today. Let's just say that. They're down there grinding.
What?
But apparently, yeah, like we talked about it yesterday, right? Like they're just discussing the fights after clean hits and the puck over glass, and it's real heavy stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Planning the NHL All-Star weekend again.
Maybe
They're going to have a tough time finding a golf course here, though.
Yeah, maybe they could talk about the cap going up. Maybe that should be number one on their thing.
Yeah,
It's like
that
maybe
would-
drive. How can we drive? I know it's not them that do, but like maybe they could come up with some theories. The guys that run hockey. Maybe we can drive this cap upwards so that the good teams can sign more good players.
How about good teams can keep their good players?
Yeah, that would be even.
Just pass a hat around the crowd during the game.
Would you like to keep all your stars? If
Yes.
so,
Yeah, put $1 in.
chip in, buddy. You already paid for your seats. You want to watch good players or bums?
It's like back in the day when the Jays
Fuck up.
with Jose Bautista, they were like they wanted to sign Irvin Santana so bad they were like had like a meeting about taking less on their salary so that they could sign him. That happened.
That's funny. I love the idea that there is a hard salary cap, but anything above that your fans are willing to contribute, you can also spend.
Wow.
So a big market like Toronto says, hey, everyone chuck us a 5 spot and we can raise whatever that equals, $5 million, and we can spend the $5 million. And Arizona tough beans. You don't have the
They do that. It's called renewing your season tickets at a new 15%
yeah,
hike.
but that money goes to the whole league salary caps, not just their team salary cap. Yeah, I would love.
They share.
Yeah. Oh, they share. They're chipping in an old mullet arena down there. Don't worry.
Oh my gosh.
I'd buy that for $1.
It tries. Yeah, it's got to drink. That'd be nuts.
There's a Connor Bedard game tonight, I think, isn't there?
Is there?
Did I see on the schedule?
I thought you meant on the lineup.
No.
No, I don't know. I have no idea.
Oh, a bad
Yes,
match?
a really bad.
Oh, a Bernard Bowl.
Yes, a Bedard Bowl.
Are you
Let
talking about
me
Calgary,
find it for
Arizona? Columbus, San Jose Sharks.
Columbus, San Jose.
That's
gotta be it.
pretty
There it
Bedard
is.
Bowl. Yeah,
So
that's lean.
Friends and family watching that one.
Yeah.
Tampa, New Jersey tonight. I am continuing my scouting trip on the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah,
I will
we're
be.
all over 'em.
I'll be watching that closely just to see. It's a big game for them, and they Tampa. They're fast, as we know, with New Jersey, and Tampa's been scuffling a bit. So
Just-
the amateur scout, I'm going to be watching tonight.
Keep an eye on now. People getting hurt.
I know.
I
This is
know.
the time of
This is
year.
the
We're in the
time.
window now.
You're,
where
you're a
it's-
little tired. You're not quite near that new juice you're going to get from around the corner playoff
Yeah.
start. Too far away. Like it happens.
Hey, can we get Bobby McMahon in the damn lineup? He has 18 goals in his last 17 AHL games now.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a phenomenal run.
It's ridiculous.
That doesn't happen really
And
in
I know he's
AHL
not here
either.
to score, but he had 4 games with the Leafs and he was great. Am I out of my mind?
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Yeah, not that I think he's going to be a big contributor, but rest some guys. You don't need injuries.
I know we're running out of time here, but we'll get into it tomorrow. But even a guy like Holmberg, who came in, looked like he was gaining,
awesome.
and poof, gone.
Disappeared.
Alex
Right.
Steves is
Well, they got,
All right.
the problem is they have real bottom 6 players now.
That's
so
true. That's true.
Mike McKenna, thank you so much for joining us. Adam Oates, same thing. You guys were fantastic. Enjoy your night. We're back tomorrow, teeing up Colorado versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. If you get a chance, give us a rating and review. We always love hearing from you. Hit the like button, all of that technical stuff that JB likes. I don't
do.
care.
I love
Me, but he's
Big
really
fan, big fan.
insecure. Hit the like button. Have a good one.